This is a trillion-dollar corporation with a legacy of pioneering. The truth is, many have tried, and almost all have failed. Over the decade, imagine a world where your car doesn't rely on gasoline or electricity to run, but on something as simple and abundant as water. Picture pulling into a fueling station, not to charge your EV or fill up with diesel, but to pour in clean water. Now imagine that same car driving hundreds of miles, emitting nothing but water vapor into the air. What sounds like a science fiction dream is suddenly colliding with reality, and at the center of this groundbreaking shift is Toyota, the global automotive giant. In a stunning announcement, Toyota's CEO has claimed that a new engine developed by the company could mark the end of the electric vehicle revolution. Not because EVs have failed, but because something better, cleaner, and even more sustainable is now on the horizon. This isn't clickbait, and it's not a rehash of old hoaxes. We're talking about a revolutionary new form of propulsion technology that could genuinely alter the course of transportation history. Toyota has revealed a prototype water-powered hydrogen engine that promises to solve the limitations of both internal combustion and electric vehicles. According to insiders, the CEO is so confident in this new powertrain that he's publicly declared, "This engine will end electric cars." It's a bold statement, but given Toyota's credibility and track record of innovation, it's one the world is starting to take very seriously. So, how exactly does this engine work? At its core, the system leverages one of the most fundamental chemical processes on Earth: electrolysis. Water, or H2O, is composed of hydrogen and oxygen. By applying electricity to water, you can split these molecules apart and isolate the hydrogen. That hydrogen can then be fed into a fuel cell or used in a combustion engine to generate power. The only byproduct? Pure water vapor. That's right. No greenhouse gases, no carbon monoxide, no nitrogen oxides, just clean, breathable steam. Toyota's innovation doesn't stop at theory. They've built a working prototype, and unlike previous attempts to use hydrogen in cars, which required storing the gas under high pressure in dangerous, bulky tanks, this engine is designed to extract hydrogen from water on demand. That means vehicles won't need to carry volatile hydrogen containers. Instead, they'll simply carry water, a safe, stable, and abundant resource. Inside the vehicle, an advanced electrolyzer powered by a small renewable energy system will perform electrolysis, producing hydrogen as needed. This changes everything. Hydrogen as a fuel has long been criticized for its storage and distribution issues. High-pressure hydrogen tanks are expensive and heavy, and building infrastructure for widespread refueling has proven a logistical nightmare. But with Toyota's system, hydrogen isn't stored. It's created when the vehicle needs it. That makes the car not just a vehicle, but a mobile, self-contained power plant. The implications are staggering. In order to make this concept work, Toyota engineers had to redesign several key components of the traditional engine. The fuel injectors needed to be re-engineered to handle gaseous hydrogen instead of liquid gasoline. Engine blocks and cylinder heads had to be reinforced to withstand the different combustion pressures and temperatures of hydrogen fuel. Spark plugs and valves were also redesigned for hydrogen's unique ignition profile. These aren't small tweaks. They represent a total reinvention of the combustion engine, optimized not for fossil fuels, but for the most abundant substance on Earth. And Toyota didn't just stop at modifying the engine. They've also developed a unique cooling system to deal with the high thermal output of hydrogen combustion, a new exhaust management system to ensure that only water vapor is emitted, and a modular design that allows this engine to be integrated into a wide range of vehicles, from small cars to trucks and even industrial equipment. This is not a one-off concept or laboratory toy. It's a scalable, adaptable technology designed for real-world use. So why hasn't this been done before? Inventors have claimed to create water-powered engines, only to be exposed as frauds or dreamers with flawed science. Stanley Meyer's infamous water fuel cell from the 1980s, which he claimed could power a dune buggy on water alone, ended in scandal and litigation. Other inventors have promised miraculous hydrogen generators, only for their products to be quietly debunked or banned. For years, the consensus was that splitting water into usable hydrogen on the fly inside a car required more energy than it could produce. In other words, the math didn't work. The science didn't support it. But Toyota isn't a backyard inventor. G hybrid technology, efficiency, and reliability. When Toyota speaks, the world listens, and their engineers have done what others could not. They found a way to make water-to-hydrogen energy conversion viable, efficient, and safe enough for mass production. What makes this breakthrough even more exciting is its potential to leapfrog the limitations of electric vehicles. While EVs have become the symbol of green transportation, they're not without serious drawbacks. Lithium-ion batteries require rare earth minerals like cobalt and lithium, which are often mined under environmentally destructive and ethically questionable conditions. The disposal of these batteries poses another challenge, as they contain toxic and non-biodegradable components. Then there's the charging time. Even the fastest chargers take dozens of minutes to refuel a drained EV, compared to minutes at a fuel pump. Toyota's hydrogen water engine eliminates all of these concerns. No massive batteries, no long charging times, no mining of rare earths. And unlike EVs, which still largely rely on fossil fuel-powered grids for electricity, Toyota's system can use clean solar or wind power to drive the electrolysis process. This means a car that runs on water can truly be emission-free from start to finish. The timing couldn't be better. Around the globe, governments are mandating zero-emission vehicles, phasing out combustion engines, and investing billions in clean transport. EVs have been the focus, but with their infrastructure challenges, high costs, and ecological baggage, they're not the perfect solution. Toyota's CEO argues that his company's hydrogen engine may not just be a competitor to EVs. It might be the better solution. Cleaner, faster, more scalable, and more in tune with the natural resources we already have in abundance. This announcement has sent shockwaves through the automotive world. Tesla, BYD, and other EV titans have yet to respond directly, but analysts are already forecasting major disruption. If Toyota succeeds in commercializing this engine, the entire industry could pivot. Automakers may shift their R&D from lithium batteries to water-based hydrogen systems. Charging stations may give way to electrolyzer units. Battery mining operations could face obsolescence. And consumers, they'll have a cleaner, faster, and possibly cheaper alternative to plug-in electric cars. But as revolutionary as this all sounds, it's still early days. Toyota has yet to announce a public launch date or release detailed specifications of the water engine. Some remain skeptical, recalling past disappointments in the alt-fuel space. Yet others believe we're standing on the edge of a new technological revolution, one that Toyota, once again, is leading. To understand just how disruptive Toyota's new water-powered hydrogen engine might be, it helps to examine the long and often controversial history of similar technologies. This isn't the first time the idea of using water as fuel has made headlines. Over the last few decades, a number of inventors and fringe scientists have come forward claiming to have developed engines that run entirely on water, with varying degrees of credibility and success. Unfortunately, almost all of them ended in failure, scandal, or outright fraud. These historical misfires have made the concept of water-fueled vehicles a kind of taboo until now. In the 1980s, a man named Stanley Meyer became famous for his claim that he had built a dune buggy that could run solely on water. He said his vehicle used a proprietary water fuel cell that split water into hydrogen and oxygen far more efficiently than traditional electrolysis. His invention attracted investors, press coverage, and attention from major corporations, but it all fell apart in 1996 when a court ruled that Meyer had committed fraud. Experts examined his system and concluded it simply didn't work as claimed. To many, it was a painful reminder that extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof, and that physics cannot be cheated. The early 2000s brought more hopeful, but ultimately disappointing, ventures. One company, Genesis World Energy, raised millions of dollars from eager investors for what it said was a new energy system capable of splitting water to create free hydrogen. The company never produced a single functioning product, and its founder was later sentenced to prison for fraud. Another case emerged in Japan in 2008 when a startup called JPX unveiled a car it said could run on water. But further investigation showed that the system relied on an onboard cartridge of metal hydride to extract hydrogen from water, making it neither scalable nor truly revolutionary. In Indonesia, a man named Arianto Mel became a viral sensation in 2022 after claiming he'd invented a device called the Incuba that allowed motorcycles to run for 500 kilometers on a single liter of water. His videos spread rapidly online, but engineers quickly pointed out the flaws in his claims. No independent verification was ever provided, and eventually, the hype faded. These kinds of stories have led to deep skepticism around any water-powered engine claims, and with good reason. That's what makes Toyota's involvement so different. Unlike lone inventors or small startups, Toyota has the resources, scientific muscle, and manufacturing capability to not only prove this technology works, but to bring it to the masses. They're not asking for crowdfunding or promising miracles. They're building on a foundation of hydrogen research that spans decades. And their previous accomplishments speak volumes. Consider the Toyota Mirai, launched in 2014. It was the world's first mass-produced hydrogen fuel cell car and remains one of the most important vehicles in Toyota's history. The Mirai uses compressed hydrogen gas stored in carbon fiber tanks, which is then passed through a fuel cell to create electricity and power the car's electric motor. The only emission? Water vapor. With a driving range of over 300 miles and refueling times under 5 minutes, the Mirai showed that hydrogen-powered transportation was not only possible, it was practical. Since then, Toyota has continued to refine its hydrogen technology. The company has invested in developing more efficient fuel cells, better hydrogen storage systems, and even entirely new engine designs. In cold climates, where hydrogen can freeze and reduce engine efficiency, Toyota engineers developed innovative heating systems that keep the hydrogen flowing. In terms of safety, they've built tanks with advanced sensors and composite materials designed to withstand extreme conditions. It's this deep technical base that makes the company's new water engine more than just a fantasy. And while battery electric vehicles dominate headlines, there's growing recognition that EVs are not a perfect solution. One major issue is the environmental cost of battery production. Extracting lithium, cobalt, and nickel requires vast mining operations, often in ecologically sensitive or geopolitically unstable regions. Reports have linked child labor and unsafe working conditions to cobalt mines in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Additionally, battery recycling remains a costly and inefficient process, leading to increasing stockpiles of old, toxic battery packs that have no safe disposal route. Another issue is charging infrastructure. While countries like China and the United States have invested heavily in EV chargers, the rollout is uneven, and rural areas often lack access. Even in urban zones, long wait times, high installation costs, and grid overloads present real challenges. Then there's the question of where that electricity comes from. In many regions, EVs are still charged using power generated from coal or natural gas, reducing their environmental benefit. Hydrogen vehicles sidestep these issues. Refueling takes minutes instead of hours, and hydrogen has a far higher energy density than lithium-ion batteries. That means more range for less weight, a crucial factor for larger vehicles like trucks, buses, and heavy-duty machinery. Toyota has already demonstrated this with its hydrogen-powered semi-trucks, developed in partnership with Kenworth and the Port of Los Angeles. These trucks can haul heavy cargo over long distances, using only hydrogen as fuel and emitting nothing but clean steam. But why use water as the source of hydrogen instead of compressed gas? Because it solves the biggest problem hydrogen vehicles have always faced: storage and distribution. Hydrogen gas must be compressed to over 10,000 psi and stored in specially designed tanks. It's flammable, expensive to transport, and requires an entirely new infrastructure. Water, on the other hand, is cheap, safe, and already distributed globally. Every gas station, every home, and every business has access to water. If hydrogen can be extracted from water inside the vehicle itself, using only renewable electricity, then the need for hydrogen refueling stations disappears entirely. That's the core brilliance of Toyota's new system, and there's another angle to this story, one that's rarely talked about, but crucial to understand. The idea that water-based energy systems have been suppressed. While this sounds like conspiracy theory territory, some experts argue that the fossil fuel industry has little incentive to allow a technology that makes oil and gas obsolete to flourish. Hydrogen engines, especially water-fed ones, would undercut trillions of dollars in oil profits, challenge energy monopolies, and radically shift global power dynamics. Whether through lobbying, misinformation, or strategic litigation, many believe that disruptive technologies like this have historically been pushed aside before they could gain traction. But Toyota's sheer size and influence make it much harder to ignore. The company has billions in R&D funding, global manufacturing capabilities, and partnerships with governments and private institutions. They've already built hydrogen refueling stations in Japan, California, and parts of Europe. Their leadership has shifted from passive observers of the EV boom to active challengers of the status quo. Executives like Hiroki Nakajima, Takeru Kato, and Mitsumasa Yamagata have made it clear that Toyota is no longer just a car company. It's a mobility solutions provider. They see hydrogen not as an experiment, but as the future. It's a future that's increasingly aligned with international climate goals. The United Nations, the European Union, and most major governments have committed to net zero emissions targets over the coming decades. While electric vehicles are often held up as the answer, they alone may not be enough to meet these goals. Hydrogen, especially when produced using green energy, offers a parallel path that's clean, scalable, and suited for applications that batteries can't handle. Toyota's new water-powered hydrogen engine brings this future closer. By solving the biggest limitations of both traditional hydrogen fuel cells and battery electric vehicles, it opens the door to a transportation system that is truly sustainable. It eliminates the need for rare minerals, high-voltage charging systems, or dangerous high-pressure tanks. It runs on water, the most abundant compound on Earth, and emits only the same, and it leverages renewable energy sources like solar or wind to complete the cycle, making the process not just zero emission, but zero impact. If Toyota succeeds, it won't just disrupt the EV market. It could render it obsolete. Just as the Model T replaced the horse and carriage, this engine could replace the lithium battery, And while skeptics remain, the weight of Toyota's innovation, history, and ambition are hard to ignore. A new energy era may be upon us, and it may not be electric at all. As Toyota pushes forward with this groundbreaking technology, it is important to understand not just the technical advancements, but also the broader implications this water-powered engine could have on the global automotive landscape, the energy sector, and the future of transportation itself. This isn't just about producing a new kind of car. It's about creating an entirely new mobility ecosystem. First, let's talk about global reactions. While some are excited and optimistic, others are understandably cautious. The automotive industry, particularly in countries where electric vehicles are gaining significant traction, may be reluctant to embrace a new technology that challenges the very foundation of EV development. After all, the transition to electric vehicles has been years in the making, with billions of dollars invested into research, infrastructure, and market development. Governments around the world have committed to EV adoption, and many cities are already phasing out internal combustion engine vehicles in favor of electric models. However, as Toyota's water-powered hydrogen engine proves, these two technologies, hydrogen and electric, are not necessarily mutually exclusive. Both can play a role in decarbonizing the transport sector. The key difference lies in their respective advantages and limitations. Electric vehicles are fantastic for short-range, city driving, where charging stations are abundant and the infrastructure is in place. But hydrogen-powered vehicles shine in areas where rapid refueling and long-distance travel are crucial, like for trucks, buses, and even planes. In fact, hydrogen's potential in long-haul transport could be one of the most important aspects of this new engine. Hydrogen vehicles, unlike EVs, can be refueled in minutes, offering a level of convenience that makes them highly appealing to commercial fleet operators. Trucks, which typically have to deal with large payloads and long distances, have not been well served by the slow charging times and range limitations of current electric technology. Toyota's hydrogen-powered trucks, already in operation in Japan and California, could pave the way for a hydrogen economy that shifts from just passenger vehicles to an entire transportation network. The idea that Toyota's new engine could end the era of electric cars might sound bold, but it taps into a growing dissatisfaction with certain limitations of the current electric vehicle market. Take, for example, the energy density of hydrogen versus batteries. While lithium-ion batteries have improved in recent years, they still don't match the energy density of hydrogen. This means that for vehicles requiring a lot of energy over long distances, hydrogen has a significant edge. For instance, trucks and buses can benefit greatly from the high energy output of hydrogen, which allows them to operate for longer periods without the need to recharge. One of the largest potential obstacles to widespread adoption of water-powered hydrogen vehicles is the lack of infrastructure. While Toyota has already taken steps to address this by building hydrogen refueling stations in select locations, the global network of refueling stations is still underdeveloped compared to the millions of EV charging points scattered worldwide. A large-scale rollout of hydrogen vehicles would require substantial investment in infrastructure, and governments would need to create policies that support the building of such networks. This is where the role of government policy and subsidies becomes critical. It is worth noting that some countries are already positioning themselves to take advantage of hydrogen as a clean energy source. Germany has invested heavily in hydrogen technology, with plans to expand hydrogen refueling stations and support the production of green hydrogen using renewable energy sources. The European Union is also exploring ways to integrate hydrogen into its renewable energy grid, creating a future where hydrogen not only powers cars, but also homes, industries, and power plants. In the United States, Toyota's partnership with companies like Shell and Air Liquide has helped establish refueling stations, but much more is needed to ensure a widespread hydrogen infrastructure. On the other hand, Toyota's success with this water-powered hydrogen engine could force governments and private sectors to accelerate these efforts. If Toyota's vision is realized, we could see governments offering new incentives to build hydrogen stations, encouraging businesses to invest in fuel cell technology, and creating frameworks that incentivize hydrogen fuel cell vehicles alongside electric ones. But the broader economic impact of this new technology could be far-reaching. Hydrogen as a fuel source can be produced in multiple ways, some of which are already available, such as using natural gas or biomass. However, the most promising and sustainable method is green hydrogen, produced through electrolysis, powered by renewable energy like wind or solar. If Toyota's system can successfully produce hydrogen on demand from water using only renewable sources, it could solve many of the energy sector's most pressing challenges. This is where Toyota's innovation also becomes deeply political. Oil-rich nations like Saudi Arabia, Russia, and the United States would be forced to reassess their energy strategies. As hydrogen takes off, countries that produce a surplus of renewable energy could dominate a new energy economy. This could signal a significant shift in global geopolitics, one where access to abundant sunlight, wind, and water might replace oil reserves as the new power currency. In addition to the economic and geopolitical implications, Toyota's water-powered hydrogen engine could also revolutionize the way cars are built and sold. The potential for water-based hydrogen systems to replace batteries could lead to a major restructuring of the automotive supply chain. Battery manufacturers might face significant challenges as the demand for electric batteries, particularly large ones used in EVs, declines. Conversely, there could be a surge in demand for electrolyzers and fuel cell technology, spurring a new industry focused on hydrogen generation and storage. Toyota's supply chain strength, with its established relationships with suppliers of advanced materials, could help them gain a dominant position in this new market. It's also possible that other manufacturers, seeing the success of Toyota's technology, may join the hydrogen movement, creating a market that competes directly with battery-powered electric vehicles. The environmental advantages of Toyota's new engine should not be overlooked either. Unlike lithium-ion batteries, which have a significant carbon footprint from mining and manufacturing processes, Toyota's system, when powered by green electricity, could be completely carbon neutral. It would require no rare earth metals and could operate using local water supplies, a resource that's far more plentiful than lithium, cobalt, and nickel. This would represent a significant leap forward in sustainability, especially in comparison to the negative environmental impacts associated with lithium mining. One thing is clear. Toyota's hydrogen technology could be a game changer, not just for transportation, but for the entire way we think about energy. The company's willingness to take risks, innovate, and invest heavily in hydrogen technology, especially with a system powered by water, could finally make the promise of clean, sustainable mobility a reality. In doing so, Toyota is challenging the conventional wisdom of the electric vehicle market and offering a new alternative that is poised to redefine how we power our cars, trucks, buses, and even our cities. Toyota's push towards hydrogen isn't just about making the next big thing in automotive technology. It's about being part of a global energy revolution that could reduce the reliance on fossil fuels, limit carbon emissions, and promote renewable energy solutions. If the company succeeds in scaling this water-powered hydrogen engine, it could lead the world into an entirely new chapter of clean mobility, where water becomes the fuel of the future.